It has been a long process because I needed to go the snail mail route rather than the online route, because I had previously done online when I thought of pursuing this career a while ago. Apparently when you do that once, you're not allowed to do it the second time. You have to send a big packaged up envelope with a cashier's check and move on from there. So I was given a timeline of 3 to 4 weeks, and it's been 4 weeks as of tomorrow.
So you've taken your test.
We'll see.
Your package is submitted, so licensure.
I have not been fingerprinted yet.
Okay, but you can't do that until you get your test.
You got it, yeah. You
So
got to get.
where are your process now in trying to decide what company to hold?
This is my first conversation with any company.
So,
Day one, step one.
and how did you choose Heritage Texas?
So Jamie Barrera, her son is a very good friend of mine, and she actually helped me and my boyfriend buy our house.
Oh, nice.
So we worked with her. I enjoyed working with her. She's probably one of the nicest people I've ever met. So she was willing when we brought this up 2 years ago, I guess, when I had the first conversation with her about it. She said, whenever you're ready, just let me know. And I said, okay, I'll let you know when I'm ready.
And so is today your first interview?
Yeah.
Awesome. This is, you can't pay for this stuff. Thank you very much. So let me ask you a question. What do you know so far about Heritage Texas?
Nothing, not much at all. I know that you're here in Texas. I know you actually do a lot of corporate relocations, because I currently have worked in corporate relocation, and so I know that there's a big connection there with you guys, but that's about it. I think that this building was near where the flooding happened. I don't know if this building flooded itself, but I know that my vet did, which was right down there.
What have you done in corporate relocation?
So I work on the financial side, and so I pay people and bill people.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do.
Who did you work for? Did you work for Servo or one of the big corporations?
No, not a big corporation. No, it's a company called AirSwift, and so global mobility. So relocation and immigration is what the part of the business that I work in. It is not their main part of the business, but they currently are working on hopefully selling the business in the next year and a half. So they wanted something that would give it a higher multiplier for sale. So brought me in about 2 years ago to package up a nice new service line that would give them more money when they went to have the sale in a couple years.
And how do you feel about leaving a salaried job and going to a 100% commission job?
I had thought about that for a very, very, very long time, and I don't really have a problem with that. I knew that was sort of the end goal. So what I wanted to do, I went to business school at Rice, graduated from there in 2010 with my MBA. I would have loved to jump right into real estate then, but obviously financially, when coming out of business school, that's very high expense. I knew that I probably needed something more steady at the time, which is why that opportunity, when it came around, and it had a timeline of whenever we sell, that's when the timeline is. And so I thought, well, this would be a great way for me to get my feet wet, have a comfortable position, and then I can transition into real estate where it is commission.
Do you have student debt right now?
I do have some student loans.
Small, big, large, huge?
Thankfully, very small. I was very lucky to have a very high scholarship, and I'm lucky to have parents who were willing to help me out as well. So, yes.
Good for you. So, let me tell you what Heritage Texas is all about in the big picture. 30,000 foot level. Our goal here is to really help the people who work here live the life they want. Because real estate is a really remarkable career where you can literally, if there's a proven system in place, name your income. But really, at the end of the day, the cool thing about real estate is what you get to do with the money. In other words, the lifestyle you get to create. So, have you ever heard of a movie called The Bucket List?
I have heard of it, yes.
Did you ever see it?
I did not see it.
So it's a movie with Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson. And the backstory quickly is Jack Nicholson's dying of cancer. Morgan Freeman shows up at the cancer ward, and the two of them have some serious shenanigans. And they go, we got to get out of here and do all this stuff before we die. Hence, kick the bucket, right? That movie was inspired by a guy named John Goddard, it turns out, who Newsweek called the original Indiana Jones, a true adventure. And he said, why do we call it a bucket list and wait till we do all the things right before we're supposed to die that we want to do? What if instead we live a life by design, a life of intention? And so he had this idea of, why don't we start early on, and what a beautiful place to have this conversation at your stage in your life, of a life by design. And to make it easy, he had this idea that instead of just calling it a bucket list, let's chunk it down into 4 areas. Boyfriend, you said. What is his name?
Andy.
Andy. And do you like him?
Every now and then.
Every now and then? Do you think there's a future, or is this
Yeah,
temporary?
yeah.
Okay, okay. Has he put a ring on it yet?
We've looked at the rings.
Oh, okay.
I'm not wearing it yet.
You're not wearing it, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're hoping this
Yeah,
will maybe
well,
end up
hopefully
there?
in the next month or so we'll be.
Oh, wow, so you're
ready to
close.
go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations, that's good. So I'm going to ask you sort of a future question. If it's all right with you, I'm going to ask you
Sure.
and take some
Sure.
notes here. So, assuming that things move forward with Andy, if you could wave a magic wand and have a family that you wanted, what would that family look like? Kids, no kids?
Kids eventually.
Yeah.
Not yet.
But not yet, okay. And right now, if you were doing great in real estate, and you could do anything you wanted with your new family with Andy, either pre-kids or post-kids, what would some of your dreams be for that family?
I really like the idea of mimicking sort of the family that I grew up in. So I grew up in what I like to call a bubble community. I don't know if you guys are familiar with San Antonio, but I grew up in the Alma Heights area of San Antonio, which is a very tight-knit community. I'm an oddball because I live here, not there. Everybody tends to go back. I want to be able to have my family kind of have that same feeling of community, and I recognize that in different neighborhoods here, where your kids can play in the street, and you can walk to your friend's house, and you can go to the public school and feel safe there. Have great teachers, have good relationships with them. See your teacher out at the movie theater when you go. So that's probably.
Have you picked
my
a
goal.
community here that you think fits that bill?
Kind of.
Where?
I would love to move to Westview.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where a lot of my friends are already moving. I am the oddball out of my friends. All my friends are, on their second child now, and they're already kind of moved on, and we're in the Heights, and we're enjoying walking to all the restaurants and not having a child, and but that is what I want for sure, is being able to kind of have that same lifestyle and give them that.
So
that
you did
sense of
something
community.
that I was curious about. When you said, I think Westview?
Westview. Yeah.
Westview.
I mean, let's say that.
Westview.
West University, oh, Westview.
Yeah, Westview
Okay,
University.
okay, I'm not from here.
Elementary school is it's a good one.
So
They have
why
sidewalks.
did you have the sort of the funny, like, Westview, is that?
Oh, well, I feel like it's kind of cliche. In this, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely quite a few. I mean, and nowadays with I feel so silly that all I think about is elementary schools. Where do I want my kids to go to elementary school?
I don't think it's silly, but.
I know, but
think
I'm
it's
like,
smart.
I've got to plan this out. We've got Oak Forest, we have West University Elementary, River Oaks Elementary. I think Mark Twain is looking good now. I mean,
I think she's ready to have a kid.
starting to get a lot better. I'm like, are we okay? We bought this house in the Heights, and we did the 7-year fixed mortgage rate. So in 7 years, if we have a kid that's going to be fun, you start thinking about all these things, and so we, yeah.
So do you own a house now?
Yes.
Okay. If you move to Westview, would you keep this house? Maybe as a rental as part of your wealth
No,
plan?
because of the way the house is structured, it's not a property that is set up for a roommate situation. And
Or for good rental.
It's probably not a good rental. It would be a great family home for a rental, but I don't necessarily think right now, and I could be eating my words because the Heights is doing such a major turnover right now, that HTP is coming. But probably not for the price we would have to list it at for a rental. A family, if they've got kids, they want to send their kids. It probably just wouldn't work.
So the cool thing is you don't have to make that
Yeah,
decision.
no.
As part of your wealth plan, I mean, as long as we're talking to your family in the future, have you thought about owning real estate as a way to start working on your
Yes,
retirement?
I would love to own real estate in College Station, Texas.
Yeah, in College Station. Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So I think I understand that the goal is to create a place where you have this beautiful community that you grew up in San Antonio. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do not.
Oh, only child.
Yeah.
I need a high five. Me too.
Yeah, okay.
How'd you feel about being an only child? Yeah.
It's
Not
a
like
lot,
you
it's
can
a lot
change
of
it.
pressure. Feeling the pressure living here and not living there because I get asked all the time, when are you coming home?
Oh, so mom and dad
What
are kind of
happens
like.
when we get sick?
Oh, interesting. What is so strong about being in Houston? What has you here?
A lot of my friends came here after we graduated from undergrad. I've been here now for 8 years, and so I've sort of just
And you like it?
I love it here. Yeah, I mean, and And you know, San Antonio, I love San Antonio, and I love everything about growing up there, but I think the farther I've gotten away from it, the harder I think it would be to go back into it. And Andy he's from the Northeast, so he's not even, you know,
Where's he from?
he's from New Jersey.
Oh, interesting. Does he talk a little in Jersey?
He talks a little funny, yeah.
And he goes, you guys from here from Texas talk a little funny, right?
Yeah.
So you have to talk funny
He
family.
thinks we're weird.
Yeah.
He thinks we're weird.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so now let me ask you another question. Let's talk about your dreams really for real estate. What do you have your dreams for your real estate career? If you could say, man, in 5 years from now, I'd love to be, finish that sentence.
I want to own property in College Station, like I mentioned.
Okay.
I would like to lease the property to college students, probably not males, probably females.
Okay.
I would like to
I
own
think
a
you get
lot
flagged.
multiple properties there.
Okay.
But then what I would like to do is I would like to hedge off of, A&M has a really good Master's of Real Estate program. And a lot of the students there are looking for something as like internship opportunities or just some sort of way to get their feet wet. I would love to utilize them from a property management perspective, so I don't necessarily have to be there all the time, but I can use that resource to help me manage those properties there.
Okay.
And then also, you know, maybe build myself a little garage apartment for game weekends when I go for the games and have a free place to stay.
Yeah, perfect.
Not
perfect.
free, I mean, you're still paying for it, but
And
that is my long-term goal.
And that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And how much money do you think that you would like to make selling real estate to make that happen? Have you put a number on that? Would you like some help with that? I guess is the question.
Probably, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, does Andy work?
He does.
Enough money? Are you making half to money or additional money?
Additional money.
Okay, cool. Do you have even a wild idea what the additional money might be that you could just wave a magic wand and go, gosh, if I could make blank?
I would love to pay cash for a house in the historic district in College Station that probably needs some work, which means I'm probably looking at about $500,000 to have to buy that house and put work into it to then turn it around and lease it out. Yeah.
Okay. So time frame for doing that. So let's say you could put $200,000 a year into savings and in 2.5 years you could pay cash for it. Would that excite you? Is that a nice time frame?
I think that's an aggressive time frame.
No question. But that would still kind of
But yeah,
excite you.
yeah. Uh-huh.
But if you could do it in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think 5 years is probably a
Okay.
reasonable.
Okay, cool. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so our goal is to save $100,000 a year for the next 5 years after taxes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Now, this is the one I love. What do you love to do? What makes you happy?
I love to travel.
Where? Tell me your last trip, your next trip.
Oh, Lord, well, this summer I did Rhode Island, Iceland, Florida, New Jersey, New York, California, Fredericksburg.
So you're pretty much a slacker, is what you're.
Yeah, I go everywhere, yeah.
Yeah,
I love to travel.
Internationally, nationally,
Oh,
both.
yeah,
It sounds like both.
internationally, yeah. In the States, I usually stick to Florida. I'm a season pass holder for Disney and Universal, so if you guys ever need help planning a Disney trip, I go about 5 times a year. I'm very good at that. And then the Northeast, because Andy's family's up there, so we end up going there a lot. But internationally, I love Europe.
Did you go for the Northern Lights, perchance, in Iceland?
We were there in the summertime, so we didn't see the Northern Lights. We saw really a lot of great things. I would love to go back for Northern Lights, but it would probably just be a shorter trip, so probably more a New York trip that then you go for a couple nights to
Yeah,
Iceland.
yeah.
It's not a bad trip for me. It's 5.5 hour flight. It's not a big deal.
It's good.
Yeah. So but
Outstanding.
it was great.
So what's your next big trip? Do you have a big trip coming up?
We're going to be doing Japan.
Mhm.
Is the next big one.
Do you have it scheduled?
No, the only ones I've scheduled right now, we're going to Mexico City in 2 weeks. I've never done the Mexico City, and then I'm doing Canada, Banff and Lake Louise at the beginning of November.
You know, I think you've got this not having kids thing down.
My mom tells me that all the time. She's like, "When are you gonna have a baby?"
I want a
grandbaby.
Yeah,
When are
there's
you
time.
doing this?
There's time.
Yeah.
There's time.
There's time.
Totally time. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, what I'd love to do now is, I think I've got a great picture of what you want to do. Because my goal, if you work in my office and you work in one of these offices here, is we're going to be here to support you realizing these dreams.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what the fun about real estate is.
Mm-hmm.
We have a proven system that we can absolutely predict your income by behaviors.
Okay.
Because what we know is we can't control results, but what we can control is efforts. Our whole company is
Okay.
supported by a system called the Ninja Selling System.
Yep.
And of all the training systems in the country, we think this is the most sane, it's holistic, it's not pushy, it's not hard-closed or anything like that. And so if our goal was to make $125,000 a year, for example, let's start with that. The first thing we would need to do is get your database of people that you know, probably up to about 150 to 175 people. Do you have a database yet of your friends?
We have some friends, yes.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing about what we're going to be focusing on are the people you know. One of the things we're not really about is sort of chasing cold prospects around the country because it's hard.
Yeah.
So what do you need to know from me right now?
Do you help me build my database of 150 people if I don't know? I don't have that many friends.
Well, let me ask you a question. If I took out your cell phone right now, and I would look at how many contacts were in your cell phone, how many contacts would be in there?
Probably more than that.
Yeah. But some of them are junky and they're boyfriends you didn't like. And, exactly. That's okay. And then if you were to look at your Facebook and say how many friends do you have on Facebook?
Yeah, probably like 600, 700.
Yeah, 600, 700. So what we're really going to do is a project of winnowing down from those 600 or 700 to let's shoot for 200 to the people that you know and you like and you would like to do business with. And that's the very first place we're going to start. Because what we've discovered is, well, you know this, if you want to buy something important, do you ask your friends who they use or do you go to the internet?
That's my friends.
Yeah, we all start with our friends. And that's, when you're buying like something from Amazon, you look at the reviews, but something as big as a car or a house, people are always looking for a personal referral.
Definitely.
So we want you, we're going to show you how to be top of mind to your 200 friends that we've got to use Kristen. Kristen or Kristen? Kristen. There's a Kristen in the room. And so that's where we're going to start. You might have your license in a week or so, hopefully that. And have you heard enough now that you would feel comfortable working with us, or what more do you need to know about us?
I probably would want to know the business better first so that I do a good job and don't act like the newbie who doesn't know anything and make a lot of mistakes.
So one of the things that we figured out is it takes 180 hours to get a real estate license here, and you know nothing about it.
Yeah, you know nothing about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Feels very true, yes.
And that's universal.
Yeah.
So one of the cool things about Heritage Texas is we have this absolutely outstanding new agent program designed to take the brand new licensee who supposedly knows something and knows nothing, and with confidence and clarity can get you from here to up and running. And I'll ask you the complicated question. If you didn't sell a house for 3 or 4 months, would that be okay with you?
Right now, yes.
Okay. Fine. Because our goal is to see if we can get you under contract at your first listing or your first sale in 60 days. But then there's another 30 to 45 days to close. And we have a very specific program to do that. And I can give you more details on that. But one of the segments we cater to are brand new agents. We also cater to very high end and very seasoned agents. So we like to say here, we're cradle to grave. You can start your career here, you can grow your career here, you can end up making $2 million a year. We've got a few people that are making $2 million. So whatever your ceiling is, we can accommodate it, and we have a system to make sure that we can allow you to do that. These sound like big things, but we do have the systems in place. What else? What else would make you comfortable?
Getting to know people.
Like in the industry or in the office?
In the office, probably. Someone that, mentorship, people that I could talk to, ask questions to, feel comfortable having conversations without feeling embarrassed about asking something, or making sure that there's someone that I can go to who I know is always going to give a accurate, correct, quick response.
So
trustworthiness.
It's kind of fun. We have core values here. One of our core values, we call how we behave, is we act like the good parts of family. Because we know that there's sort of a dark side to every family. One of the cool things about here is that it's really a culture of helping everybody. We recognize that people are coming up. The first person you're going to have direct connection with is your manager. I don't happen to be that person because I'm not a manager here. But two of the people in the back of the room, raise your hand. You will have an instantaneous cell phone. Pick up the phone. Help! I'm scared. I don't want to sound stupid. And then they'll answer the phone and help you in a short-term situation, a bigger situation, so you'll have complete access to them. So that's the first thing. What else makes you nervous?
That's about it.
So if you knew that was there, yeah, cool. Any questions that I've missed? Cool. How did you feel about the interaction here?
Great.
Yeah? How do you feel about Heritage Texas at the moment?
I like it. I like the view of the trees. Memorial Park.
I like the view of the trees
Yeah,
too.
it's a nice trip.
Yeah, that's right. Now, we have corner offices
Downtown
available
town.
for those making $2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an earned
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about this interaction?
Great.
So this was
Yeah.
staged to some degree, but it was totally
Yeah, no,
organic.
it's good.
Yeah, feel safe?
I don't like to role play. That's one thing I don't like role playing. I didn't feel like I was role playing. I was very honest in my answers.
You know, role playing is really interesting. Did you ever play sports growing up?
Not very well.
Oh, interesting. What sports did you play?
If you consider running a sport, that's what I did. I ran cross country and track.
Oh, man. So did you also run long distances track?
Yes, I run about 3 half marathons a year. It's one of the reasons why I go to Disney all the time, because I run their half marathons, yeah.
Oh, interesting. What's your best time?
It's not very good. My best time is 2:06, 2 hours and 6 minutes. That's what I got the Houston race last year that they did in October. So I'm running the next one. It's October 28th, and it's just downtown, straight up Memorial, and turn around and go right back. Yeah, it's coming up in a few weeks.
So this is a leading question, as if I was an attorney.
Yeah.
How do you get better at running?
You have to mentally get better at it. I'm a firm believer that running is a mental sport.
And there's both.
Yeah,
There's
I mean,
mental
it
strength,
is. There's
right?
mental, yeah, but I mean,
and there's technique.
and there is technique, and you have to make sure you ice properly, stretch properly. You're going to get hurt. You know, make sure that your shoes are correctly. Make sure that the asphalt in Houston is different than the asphalt in San Antonio.
Oh, interesting. Because you run in concrete in San Antonio, and asphalt's different from concrete.
It's different.
And degrees of
Yeah,
hardness, right?
different.
Yeah. So the leading question is, do you practice?
Yes,
So we don't call role play here, we call practice.
correct.
Because here's what we know. If you go on a listing appointment
Mhm.
with somebody who's trying to sell their house for $400,000,
Mhm.
and we charge 6%, that's $24,000.
Mhm.
We have a really great idea. Let's not practice on the customer
Yeah.
for $24,000. The stakes are too high, right?
Valid.
So we will engage
Yeah.
in meaningful practice
Mhm.
because confidence is in direct relationship to practice.
Understood.
Yeah. It's you know, it's not like you go, oh, I haven't run for 4 months. I think I'll sign up.
go run, yes.
Yeah, a half marathon real quick.
Not a good idea.
Same concept.
Yeah.
We think it's good for your body. It's good for your mind. It's a mental game here as well. Congratulations, 3 half marathons. Yeah. So practice is good. So if I understand it, the most important thing is you have somebody to go to.
Mhm.
What would you describe for yourself as your biggest struggle as a young adult?
As a young adult,
Well, I think you're a young adult, aren't you? I'm calling you that. Is that okay?
I did turn 30 this year, so.
Congratulations. Wait a second. Look at me.
Yeah.
Me a young adult. Me not young
It
adult.
hurt just the same.
Can I share while you're thinking? If you're like me, I walked through life from 0 to 30-year-old in a complete fog. I thought I knew what was going on. I had no idea. At 30, I started getting an inkling of self-awareness. And so I now have declared 30 is 0. That was the day I was born. So you were just born this year. So
That's
you're a baby.
No.
That's awesome.
Honestly, for me personally, my biggest struggle has been, I know I look young, and I know, I hate bringing up the female thing. It's not as big of a deal in Texas, so I feel like other people get it. But at least in my career in the past, I feel like I get looked down upon and treated a little differently. I worked in the oil and gas industry for a long time, and that's a big,
That's a boys' club.
male boys club, older male boys club, and they kind of just look at you like a little girl, and I think that's sort of been my struggle. I kept looking forward to turning 30, looking forward to saying, oh, I've worked for 8 years, or and now it's like, I get, this is so silly, but and I hate using the word boyfriend because I feel like that automatically categorizes me into a younger category of people, when they think about you. That might be silly sounding. Maybe I'm the only one that feels so. But I feel like that's kind of been my struggle. Is sort of, I know I'm smart. I know I'm resourceful. I've worked for 8 years. I have my MBA from Rice University. But that doesn't always come across when, I'm sitting there talking about my boyfriend,
Oh,
So it doesn't
yeah.
really, I definitely, that was a big struggle, and that's been a big struggle in the industry that I worked in before, for sure.
You know, there's a fun little thing that you've missed, but we have this 30 under 30 thing in the real estate business, because there are.
I missed it.
Yeah, you missed it, you know. There's plenty of other
And then you have
accolades.
40 under 40.
You can be, yeah, you can 20 under 40.
20 under 40. 20 under 40.
Yeah, 20 under 40,
Oh, wow,
10
it's
under 50,
competitive, okay.
5 under 60, yeah.
Wow.
exactly.
Okay.
From my perspective, there's two things about it. Some people feel young based on how they talk.
Yeah.
You feel very mature to me.
Okay.
And you're thoughtful, and you're obviously bright, and so I think that you can use all those gifts completely in this business.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit. The cool thing, I'm gonna say something funny.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the last businesses in the world where you can legally print money. Based on your,
Didn't know that.
on your skills
Yeah.
and your work ethic. Tell me about your work ethic.
I am OCD.
Okay.
I work very hard. I'm a very detail-oriented person. I'm probably not super competitive, unfortunately.
No,
It's something I always probably need to work on, but I am.
No.
Yeah.
You are who you are. One of our
Yeah,
folks
I'm
here-
just, it's not, my nature is not to be super, I have to beat everybody. It's not
No,
really
just
who I am.
to accomplish
I
for
just
yourself.
like to beat my own goals.
Beautiful. No, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
How do you, have you ever had a strong coach in your life?
Not really, no.
How do you respond to people giving you suggestions about behavior improvement or skill improvement?
Yeah, I don't want to say it depends on how much I respect that person, but it kind of,
I think that's a right way to say it.
I mean, it does. I mean, it depends on who the person giving the advice is. You know, obviously coming from someone who has been in an industry longer than me, who has done this more, someone I look up to, I'm going to be extremely receptive.
Okay.
You know, if it's coming from someone, I mean, it depends on the type of advice, you know.
Yeah. So one of the things
Constructive criticism is a good thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
An unprompted and correct answer,
Mhm.
because we have the capacity here
Mhm.
to identify little tweaks
Right.
and say, if you'll improve this a little bit, we
Mhm.
have great techniques. And if you're willing to take those under your wing, we can literally, anything you want to accomplish, you can accomplish here. We know how to do it in other ways. We know how to make superstar performance here at the level you want to perform. So, thank you very much for your
Yeah,
time.
thanks
It's
for
been
having me.
great. Yeah, this is
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.